here weighs 35 kilos, which is why I store it here vertically. I did tap threads into here and here for these two holes, but I no longer use them. Saves me a bit of time not having to put them bolts in. The connection point for electrics is right here. Just a simple little thread there. My tow hitch has an anti-rattle bolt here, but I don't bother with that because I've got extra welds here, here, here and here. And once it's in, there's very little movement. Because of the steepness of my driveway relative to the road, I have this built-in roller here. It doesn't chunk up my driveway. The whole thing goes together quite quickly, as you can see, with no tools at all. And once the rack swings back, it locks under here, so there's no movement at all, and it can't lift up. That's why I don't bother with the bolts. I've got it in this position here. It's adjustable here, depending on where I want to load it from. Straight out of my driveway, works best in this position. I have this front wheel locking thing from Ballard, so it keeps it steady while I'm putting the turnbuckles on. Jerry can sits in here, and there's tools. No tools required there. Once I've got it all locked in, I'll put the underway here, and a little bit of elastic there holds it in. And to stop the turnbuckles from moving around, I just put this bit of elastic, a bungee cord thing here. It just goes in between the two buckles so they can't spin. And that's it, installed. Now I open it up. It just sits there. It just tends to sit in that position on my particular driveway. Now I'm free to load my gear in the back of the van before I close the back door. And I'll use a padlock here. That's so when I leave it, when I go for a ride, it can't easily be stolen. Locks the two pieces together. I'll just do a bit of a walk around so anyone interested in building it can see, will get a bit of an idea of what it looks like. There's the bit where the two pieces connect. That's part of the bit that goes in the hitch, and that's part of the actual rack. see where it goes into the tow hitch and the roller. See the jerry can there. Like I said, it's toolless. It's got a little rack. That's a little rack that I bought. This little rack is designed specifically for this jerry can. You see the locking point over there. That's the thing that comes from Ballards. It's supposed to be a locking device, but it actually isn't. You put it in that position there, and you pull this over center lever, and then you put a padlock in there. But in reality, you can actually pull the whole lot back. You don't need to pull this one back. Theoretically, the padlock that goes in this hole stops it being pulled back, but as you can see, it's still possible to pull it back without, even with the padlock in position. So I merely use it not as a locking device, but as just a holding device when I first get the bike on. Also, because of my disc guard here, I had to raise it. You can see the two from Welds. I had to raise it 20 mil to get this point here from hitting on the disc guard. It added a bit more weight to the whole setup, but anyway, it's kind of convenient and I'm stuck with it now. This here, you can see the different, you can see this will lock it into different positions, and it'll come up and it will stay up in that position or that position. And the plate that is built into the actual rack. So when it's rack's off, I'm just left with this bit here. That's the bit that's permanently fixed to the vehicle. It's basically a stub axle. There's a spindle in here, bearings, top and bottom bearings, and dust cap here. It's all greased up. You can actually buy these on eBay, where this is actually designed for people like me building their own things. It's actually sold as a spare wheel carrier, swivel point, or whatever they want to call it. It's pretty heavy duty, maybe a little unnecessary, but anyway, little things like that probably added to the whole thing being quite heavy in the end, being 35 kilos just for the rack. But I feel like it's going to last anyway. This is the thing here for the simple on and off for the plank that holds the plank on, and when the plank's not in, when I'm taking the plank off, I've got a hole up here so I can just store the bungee cord when the plank's off. This thing here is heavy duty. You can see it's pretty solid here. There's like a frame for a frame. There's a frame here. It goes all the way back to the part that comes off the hitch, and then the rest. And then there's another frame that sits on top of that frame. This is the one running along here. So the back end is sort of counterlevered for the back tire. Yeah, I've just got bits of angle welded on as a ramp. And then this isn't real solid here. It's just square tube just welded onto this bit here. So they're not. This thing can twist a little because it's only really held by these little angle bits down the bottom. but it's enough. And there's enough clearance from the back window that a bit of movement is not going to hit the back window. Here's a look of it without a bike on there. It's kind of like 3 stages to it. This bit here is got the first stage. I chose like something that's pretty deep, so I get some nice long vertical welds into this piece. And there's a frame underneath that piece, and then the frame that actually holds the bike goes on top of that frame. So it's kind of like 3 sections to it, starting with strongest, not as strong, and then the weakest being here. And when it goes up, I've got a little, this is like ramped here, so it will catch the frame. See that? Oh, it's not hitting at the moment because there's no weight on it, but when the bike's on it, it actually hits there like that. And I'm just putting weight over my hand, but normally it hits that and it rises up, and then it goes underneath there. And it's actually a fairly tight fit. So here is the underside of the carrier. They're the 2 outriggers for the turnbuckles. And here, this section here, this is like the second frame. That's the one that goes from the first heavy duty frame. It's welded underneath that, and this forms like a rectangle, and this is the section here that actually goes onto this piece, which locks it to the hitch receiver. And then on the second frame is the light duty one that actually carries the bike. And here is the couple of square tubing that holds the little bracket for the jerry can. Here is the section that's permanently welded to the tow bar. I originally had 6mm plate, but it was bending, so I added some 10mm behind it, and welded it all fully on the top, and then had some holes drilled here and welded it. That's how I connected at the bottom. And I've sleeved, you can see I've sleeved this section of the tow bar to make the tow bar a little bit stronger. Another advantage of this being connected on the tow bar separately to the hitch receiver is that when I'm camping, I can have the bike out and I can completely remove this to avoid kicking it, or I can add an accessory while the bike's still on the side here. I can take this off and put an accessory, for example my tire changing stand.